guys, they show up last and then they get premium seating.
Do I get front row like church when I show up? I'm really good at standing.
Friend?
Yes, sir.
You got any chairs? You have more. Got it?
We got plenty of
Okay. I don't want anybody to stand. They don't have to. You have plenty of chairs. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch for coming on a crappy day. This is something that we want to do every single year to offer to give back. I hope that all of you, I go to several coaches conventions every year across the country, and I've never left one without 2 or 3 great new ideas, believe it or not. So hopefully you get something out of it today. Tried to have it later, closer to the season. Last year I think we had it in February. Sometimes when you leave, you forget some of the things you learned. Yesterday was officially the beginning of the Ohio high school season, so this might be one of those years where we get 20 games in. I know there's some community teams, or communities represented here. Wadsworth, Mike, you want to?
Yeah, I just want to thank all the Wadsworth Youth baseball coaches for attending. It's really important, the development of this league really counts on the coaches and the quality of coaching that these kids are getting to continue to have it grow throughout the years. So thank you, appreciate it.
I see Chippewa's here. I saw Mr. Hirschberger here. Yeah, right there. Wobble's here. Great organization, been around for 100 years. Anybody else? Any other communities? We got several coaches here. Ribbon? All right. So anyway, I appreciate you coming. The idea is today to talk a little bit about what you guys are required as coaches of youth, and then some demonstrations of some of the drills that we do indoors and outdoors, and then go downstairs and show you a little hitting session. Let's get started here. My name is Bill Gearhart. That's Mike Veverka. We own the Hit Warehouse here. If you haven't been here before, appreciate it. It's the first time, welcome. I have been around the game a long time, 20 years as a high school coach. I played and coached, and now I'm here every day. So I have a lot of baseball experience. I always like to tell everybody none of this stuff is my ideas. We, as coaches, especially baseball, we steal ideas. And coaches, when I speak to college coaches and other high school higher level, they love to share. They share everything but their science. But Nick said, I didn't invent any of this stuff. I learned it from somebody. So I'm always looking for the next guy who's going to learn something from. The importance of coaching. Everywhere I go, I hear that the youth are behind. They're behind. They're, travel ball, there's rec ball. There's such a big difference. But to me, more important than coaching the kids is coaching the coaches, which is why we decided to do this. Coaching's a big responsibility. They say that in 1 year you impact more people's lives than most people do in a lifetime. So that's pretty powerful. Now, the smaller you go, the less that is, but it's still true. Part of the importance of coaching is leadership. Leadership is, to me, is respect. You're a role model. Mike Buffini is a Major League Baseball coach, and he always talks about, even today, through all his career, his best coach, his most impactful coach, when he was 11 years old, their coach died. So they were not going to be able to have a team. So a mailman, they asked the mailman if he'd coach, and he said, I've never coached baseball. I don't know anything about baseball. They said, we need to coach, and we'll be able to play. Well, this guy had great leadership skills. And he said it was the most impactful coach he's ever had and the greatest season they had. Culture. Culture to me is your rules. your morals, your, how you treat the opponents, how you treat the umpires. All of that is you bring that, you're the one that brings that to your team. Your culture is your own. If you're yelling at umpires and you're, not patient with the kids, then that's your culture. Accountability. Accountability is hard. It's hard to be held accountable. It's hard to hold someone accountable. A lot of kids and parents like to blame you for their kids' misfortune or lack of ability or lack of success. And then I have a couple of little, I don't know, what do you call them with initials? Acronyms, thank you. E plus R equals O. These are what I teach to high school kids. There is an event, and for every event you have a response, and that equals the outcome. So, I was just telling a kid the other day, when you strike out, that's an event. You can either throw your bat, blame the umpire, or go tell the hitter on deck that guy's curveball, you can pick up his hand moves a lot when he throws his curveball. So those are three different responses to that event. So you can, everything that happens in your life, whether it's baseball or your job or your family, it's how you respond that equals the outcome. And then my favorite over the years is SWGB. So what? Get better. You went 0 for 3, struck out 3 times. So what? Get better. You went 4 for 4 with 3 home runs and a double and a walk-off. So what? Get better. Okay, that thing covers everything. We put it on our hats, we put it on our sleeves. And then, of course, as a coach, you have to have some competency. You have to be able to teach the game. But it's far more than just teaching the game. That's why I listed it last. Leadership, culture, accountability are all things that I think are more important. I love quotes, so you'll see 4 or 5 here. Being held accountable isn't comfortable. Holding people accountable isn't comfortable. But both are necessary to produce a winning culture. Players, an error or mistake does not make you a failure, but the way you react to it and behavior following it, that goes back to the response to the event. And those are all things that are at the youth level. So many events happen for them. Lots of failure, lots of things going on that they really need some support. A word of encouragement during a failure is worth more than an hour of praise after a success. And then this is the box we use. All the kids you coach will be in one of these 4 boxes. On the left is the performance or ability, and on the bottom are your values. So these are the ones you want to avoid. The poor performers who are culture killers. I'm sure if you've coached before, you all know who they are. And there are some years you have a handful, there are some years you don't have any. But you have to coach them, and you have to focus on, coach them a little bit differently than you do all the others. The kid who's up there in the green, he's a really great player with great intangibles. So you can't, I guess the point of this is you can't coach them the same. You have to be able to handle them all. And then practice. The Outlaws that we started in the Hit Warehouse was formed because of the lack of practice in the youth. Okay? When I was at Wadsworth High School, we'd get kids every year that asked them how many times they practiced last year. They said, we didn't have any practices in the spring. This time of year was bad, so we went right into games. I said, okay, well, how many times you practiced during the season? Well, we never did. Okay? Travel teams. I know there's one in Wadsworth that they never practice. In the winter, they have some workouts, but they don't practice. And in my experience, practice is, kind of important. So with the Outlaws, I made a rule that we practice twice as much as we play. So if we have 20 games, we'll practice them 40 times or more. But the importance of our practice is we teach baseball skills, obviously, but the culture that we teach, also that we talked about before, basically what you allow, you encourage. So if you allow your players to throw their equipment, you allow them to show up late, you allow them to miss, to me, you're encouraging. Okay? Some of the things that we do with culture is we run on and off the field. I have 16 seconds. If they don't get to their position, or in, I replace them. Doesn't take long, and they're all sprinting on and off the field. I've done it once this year already. Hard 90s, that means run hard to first base. And that could be 60 for you if you're on a smaller field. Hard 90s are 100% guaranteed or you won't play. Equipment rules during the game. We have rules where we take our hat off, put it on top of our glove, and we line them up so that we don't have to look for our gloves and hats. You guys might, but we practice it. We did it like 13 times in a row last week because the kids struggled with it. This is the high school level. We don't throw our equipment. We hand our helmets to our coach. We don't toss them to our coach. But again, this is a culture you create at your practice when with your team. But if you do it, it makes it easier for us. On deck approach. What are you teaching your kids to do when they're on deck? Anything? Vital time for hitters on deck. After game routine. What do you do after a game? You do something different every game? You go out in right field and talk? Do you let them go home and talk the next day? That's your culture. That's your routine. And then, of course, leave the dugout cleaner than when you came. Kids leave water bottles and drinks and food wrappers. And then the newest activity to hit baseball is the mental game. Okay? The game's tough. Okay? Major league organizations and colleges pay millions of dollars to a couple of people who run their mental game. Okay? How do you handle failure? How do you focus on the next pitch? What do you do pre-pitch? You take a deep breath and it's all becoming extremely important in baseball, and Mike is really studying that hard, and we're going to start focusing on some of that some more. But that's something you should practice. Here's what I was talking about with the gloves, hats on the gloves. Have your kids write their name in the hat. So if we have to take them their stuff, it's all ready to go. Yogi Berra said baseball is 90% mental and the other half is physical. And that, he was way ahead of his time because the mental game now is overtaking the skills part of it. That 6-inch muscle right here is more powerful than I can imagine. This is one of my favorite quotes: under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. That's why we train so hard. You hear about these guys that, man, they always come through in the big situations. They're clutch. Well, no, they're not. They prepared more than the other guys. Okay? That's one of my favorites. And then later in the presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the Matheny Manifesto. And I want all of you to read it, and more importantly, present it to your parents. It's maybe the greatest piece I've ever written. It's 6 pages. Mike Matheny was a major league player, major league manager of the year, and he got fired 1 year. He's back again, so you know how that works. But he coached his son's 11-year-old team, and he put together a 6-page presentation to his parents. It's genius. It's genius. Well, inside of that presentation is a large part of how your child improves is your responsibility, meaning the parent. So you guys aren't responsible for their improvement. Their parents are. You're there to round them up and teach them what you can and give them some organization, but the game is too hard to just show up once or twice a week for an hour and work on it, but impress on your parents how important they are. Attending practice isn't enough, it has to be more. The best players I've played with and coached, they don't just do it at the practice. They practice at home, they practice with their mom and dad. They have fun playing the game. I compare it to a concert pianist. You don't just send a concert pianist to concerts. There's millions of hours they spend working on, I can't play the piano, but they work on it maybe as harder than athletes. But it's similar to me, a good comparison. All right, inside of a practice. My favorite question from kids is practice over already. Okay, and that's what I want to try to teach you guys how to run a practice where they ask you the same thing. It's a lost art. Many kids don't even know what it is. 12 and under, they don't even know what practice is. They just know they play baseball and they have their schedule for games. In my opinion, the youth game is dying because of no practice. I just think that when you go to a game only and there's not many successes going on, it gets boring. Coaches aren't running a practice that's any good, or the pregame is any good. The good athletes walk away. You know, there goes something more exciting and more challenging. The old school practice when I played, probably when all of you played, it's 1 hitter and 14 retrievers. Single file line where a coach hits that person a ground ball and you get to the end of the line, and it's about 4 or 5 minutes before it's your turn again. Slow and boring. A friend of mine says baseball players are leftover athletes. And of course we argue, but it's got a point. The football players and the basketball players, you know, in high school you get all the attention. So when we can keep a great athlete in the sport of baseball, it's pretty amazing. We have a couple in Wadsworth now that are high level, that are, you know, the high level athletes that are still in the game. And then in those old school practices, we have very little competition. This is a bad practice. I know you've all seen it. Everybody standing around, coach throwing balls, right, trying to hit where the batter swings, who makes contact. All standing around. Okay, we'll get to, this must have been flower short day. Shorts of practice, you know, that's not acceptable. The new school, you know, the style I'd like you to walk away from here today is groups of 2 or 3 kids, 4, 5, 6 stations on the field. Every 4 or 5 minutes you rotate. In those stations you cover all the aspects of the game, the defense, the offense, the bunting, the base running, fly balls, ground balls, and you rotate. Every practice covers most of those skills that I just mentioned. It's organized, it's fast paced, and it's fun, and it's competitive. And then they say, is it over already? So that's what I hope you walk away from here today with. Here's kind of a group working on short hops and ground balls and practice planning. Organized and efficient groups of 2 or 4, rotate every 4 or 5 minutes, like I mentioned. Here's an example here. Kids love to compete. Okay, if you can get Coach and I to compete, we actually have before downstairs. It's fun, you know, it's fun to compete. And 10-minute warm-up, catch play. Okay? We play a game called Headhunter. If I catch it, it hits me in my head area is 2 points, my body area is 1 point. Outside of that, it's no points. If you don't get it to me, it's -1. So they're competing. They're focusing on throwing the ball to a target, trying to get 2 points or 1 point. 5 minutes of throwing after around the bases, 4 base throwing, we time it. Okay? Have 2 or 3 teams, whoever gets the fastest time wins. Same with base running. You know, there's several base running competitions you can run. 60-minute hit warehouse BP. Probably the number one thing to walk away from here today is how to run hit warehouse BP. It's a defense and base running focused drill that includes hitting. Okay, it is the most. I got it from the University of Clemson. Went to their practice and watched. They do it 3 or 4 days a week. We've done it with 8-year-olds. And then at the end, 10-minute competition, mash and dash. That's a competition where there's 3 teams. You hit it off the tee. You run bases as fast as you can, and the other 2 teams have to send the guy out to touch the ball. So as many bases you can get before both teams touch the ball, you get 2. If you get to second base, you got 2 points. So right here, we just had a 90-minute practice where all they did is compete. Okay, and they're devastated. Practice is over. Okay, in fact, when they know when mash and dash starts, they're disappointed because it's almost over. So, you know, we teach you that. Here's the way we like to put it on paper so that we don't lose track and stay focused. Time on the side, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. The activity. If you have multiple coaches, which coach is going to run that activity? And then there's some videos you can show the kids of the activity you're going to do, because sometimes, for me especially, I was a visual learner. You show me how to do it, and I can do it more so than you tell me how to do it. So if you plan it this way and run it that way, I think we'll be happy. To measure good practice, how much time do they stand around? How much time do they stand in line? And how much did my weakest player get better? You know, a lot of coaches like to focus on the top 3 or 4 and are annoyed by the rest. Okay, you have to always work on the weakest player as well. All right, this is how we warm up or teach it. It's a bucket drill. I'm sure you've all seen two 10-year-olds playing catch with each other. One's not real good at catching, one's not real good at throwing. Okay, they're aiming it so they don't hurt their teammate. Well, that's developing terrible throw mechanics. Okay, the guy catching it, most of the time it's not catchable, and he runs, gets it, comes back to the line, throws it, that guy runs and gets it. Okay, so we've got a big bucket or a couple buckets of balls in it, and we throw to coaches. Okay, we find that the kids are much better at throwing mechanics, picking the ball up, throwing it to the coach, because he can't catch it. We start off with our feet squared, and we throw from a shorter distance, and we hit in the head, 2 points, body 1 point. We back up to 75% of what your bases are. You know, so if you're 60 feet, you're at 45 feet, and you do a step behind, where we step behind and throw. That creates really good throwing mechanics, because the separation of your hips and shoulders, and we're still counting points. And then we go back to the 60 feet, or whatever distance your bases are, and do the same thing. So in 5 minutes, our kids have thrown about 25 balls. Hard as the last session, it goes about 60%, 80 or 90%, 100%. So they now have thrown multiple balls at 100% or close to, instead of, okay, so we find we're really proud of that. We thought of that. Does that mean or you?
Probably me.
Yeah. Okay, catch play. For the little guys, that can be the bucket throwing, the catch play. But as they're older and they can throw to each other, this is what is considered probably the most important part of your practice. If they can catch and they can throw. That includes pitching, that includes the catcher, that includes outfielders throwing the bases. It's not just playing catch with their teammate. The teams who catch and throw it better win like 90% of the time. It's not hitting that wins the game, it's the catch play. For the younger guys, we like to throw it, we can throw to them until they don't flinch. We want them to get confident and comfortable catching the ball. We teach them outside the shoulders, they use one hand. Okay, a lot of kids will try to put that other hand here, up here, and then between the shoulders, we use 2 hands. Below the waist, fingers down, above the waist, fingers up. Teach them all four-seam grip. Four-seam, you all know what that is? Anybody not know what a four-seam grip is? With the horseshoes? Okay, good. When you throw a four-seam ball, it doesn't tail. So we teach them a four-seam grip. Then some drills I listed here, we'll go over at the end. There's a ball and glove, step back, quarterback drill, fast hands, fast feet. We'll review those at the end. Base running, another major part of the game that most of you don't know how to coach and don't realize how important it is. We spend at the high school level over 30 minutes a day at the beginning and the end of it. Because again, 4 or 5 games are won or lost based on base running, whether you're good or bad. I have hard 90s. We went over that before. A little story. I had a high school kid that a college coach was recruiting, and he was there to see him run. And he hit a rocket line drive to the left fielder. Left fielder didn't have to move. So he hit it, only took 2 steps out of the box and watched him hit it. Instead of sprinting through the base to show the scout walked away and didn't see it. So always teach him, no matter what, when the ball's in play, to run hard. Run through first base. A lot of young kids stop at first. Also, veer to the right a little bit, teach them, and then turn their head to the right to see if there's an overthrow. Aggressive turns. So many kids are happy to go station to station. For first base, I got the second. Success. But the good teams you play, they'll round first base and go 30 feet towards second base to see that the play was made. Any bobble at all, they're on second. Okay, because of their aggression. Work on that. These are all things you have to work on. You can't tell them. You have to show them and have them do it many, many times. Leadoffs. I don't know how many of you have leadoffs in your league, but we teach at the older level, right, left, right, shuffle. And that's 12 to 14 feet. And if they're new at it, they're panicking because they feel like they're a mile away. Okay, they're not. but a lot of them, you know, if this is the base, they get off and they put their hand up. And I tell them, no, that's not how Usain Bolt runs 100. You know, he doesn't start like this. I don't know where that came from. They're just closer to the base, I guess. The smaller ones, so just go left, right, shuffle. Okay? Again, I don't know if you have lead off, but that's your culture. Teach them your lead off. Don't let them all just independently just do it on their own. You think they know it, but they don't. Secondary leads, that's the lead after the pitcher throws the ball. We'll show you here in a minute. Delay steal, I'll show you that. And one of the things we work on is when they're on first base, their job is to get to third base. Because from third base, you can score like 28 ways. From second base, 9 or something like that. So we want to be on third base. So this fall is a super high level high school group. We worked on first and third. You would think they would know. They stop at second base all the time. We focus, our whole 8 weeks of fall was focused on first and third. And by the end, they were pros at it. And they were like, we had no idea how often we could go from first to third, even on a single to left field right in front of them. They're going around second and going to third. It's a focus, it's practice, it's repetition, it's things you can't assume they know. And then second to home, the same idea. And then our famous 4-base running station, I'll kind of describe it here in another video here. Here's mark your lead off. If you want 12 feet or 10 feet or 8 feet, put spray paint. Work on the right, left, right shuffle. Show them that's where you get. And of course you have some long leg guys and some short leg guys, and that's okay. But this is a high school lead off. Paint the base or put tape on it. The yellow's where we want to turn and go to the next base. The green's where we want to hit it from home plate. We want to hit the front of the base when we're going to first base, not the back of it, because we might be the difference between safe and out. So put some visuals on it. Help them out a little bit. This is the route that we teach. It's not as wide as some of you might have thought, but put a coach right here, so that when they make this turn, they have to run in front of the coach. So many kids will go out here, okay, and put a coach here, and put a coach here. Our cones, but teach them to drop that inside shoulder and turn the base and go to the next base. Our 4-base running that we do, and again, we've done it at the college level and at the 8U level, it's the same drill. Have a pitcher on the mound, a coach. If you have 10 kids on your team, you can do it with 20 kids or 30 kids, doesn't matter. If you have 10, 2 are at home plate, 2 are halfway between first and second, 2 are at first base, 2 are at second, and 2 are out here in this territory here at third base. When the coach lifts his leg like he's going to throw a pitch, the batter swings a fake swing and a pitch, he runs through first base, focusing on touching the front of the base. This guy, he goes to second base. So he makes that cut on the inside, stays inside of the coach or the cone, and sprints to second base. The guy leading off first goes to third, and this guy out here, when this guy from second is coming around to score, he on third base, and he races this guy home.
With the tag.
Yeah. So when the coach lifts his leg, this guy out here wanders off the base, and he gets back real quick to tag up, and he's waiting for the guy from second to touch third base, the real third base, right here. He's out here, and he runs a sprint straight down this line. Sometimes kids come together and fly, so they run down here. So he's watching, and as soon as that guy touches third, they sprint home, and they have more fun doing that than you can imagine. So we do that, depending, one of the rules is we sprint from first to third, we sprint all the way to the base. We slow down, we do another whole round, okay? For some reason, kids always like to run past the base, like it's a game, but they don't, not like in a real game. So when they run past the base, we do another round. They want to do one round. So sometimes we've done 5 rounds, and they're taking up most of the practice. So that's what we call 4-base running. And this is a good path, guys. Work on this, start off with singles. Everybody run through the base, touching the front. Then single to left field, when they come out here, they round it aggressively out to here, and I have a coach out there either drop the ball, when they're right here, when the coach drops it, they go to second. When the coach does it and throws it in, they got plenty of time to get back. So you can do singles, doubles, triples, home runs on top of 4 base running. Work on base running. It's a difference. Okay. Pitching. That's mostly what I coach and teach, but it's not complicated. Work fast. When your pitcher throws his pitch, have it come and catch it from the catcher, and don't turn your back to the catcher. Get right back on the mound and throw. Obviously, throw strikes. Don't be the coach. He goes, come on, we need strikes. Change speeds, and Babe Ruth is dead. One of my coaches many years ago came out to the mound and told me that and walked away. I went, what? Well, I was nibbling and trying to act like the hitter was better than he was. Most hitters aren't very good. Okay? Youth lineup, high school lineup, maybe one, maybe two. And kids, when they're able to throw strikes, they start nibbling or not just throwing it down the middle. That's just that the kids aren't as good as Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth's gone, don't worry about it. Mechanics that I teach. Balance and drift, I'll show you that in a slide. Coil into the back leg or hide the back hip. Stride without a swinging gait. Front foot plant, arm 90 degrees or less, and decelerate. Those are the things I work on with college pitchers down to beginners. Here's the drift, okay? When we lift our leg up, we're going, okay? You see the angle of the pitcher is like this, not like this, okay? That's the drift, and that's balance. What else? Coil into the back leg. If they can hold something, if they're right-handed, hold it with their left. So they're like looking at the catcher here, lift their leg and coil. Coil into this back leg. Okay? We work on that, we do thousands of those. Stride, when we stride, this is a swinging gait. Okay, we don't want a swinging gait. We want to put our heel to the catcher. Okay, we went down and forward. Okay? Front foot plant, that means when your front foot lands, we want our arm at 90 degrees or less. We don't want here, that means it's late. That means we're going to struggle to throw strikes and risk injury. And then decelerate, this is what we do a lot at the high school level. When we land, we don't want to go like that. Okay, when this foot lands, we throw against it. That's our anchor. That's what we throw against. That's the rubber band. And I think we have some good pictures of that coming up. Cues. Most of our problems that happen in pitching happen in the first half second. If we fix the first half second, we fix most of everything. I tell the kids, pretend the strongest Velcro ever made is holding your foot down, so they can't go anywhere in your pitch. If you come up on your toe or something, everything's going to break down later. Eyes level. Who knows this kid? Okay? I tell about shooting a gun. You could never hit a target with your head crooked. Lead with your back pocket. It goes back into that coil. Okay? Have that go into the catcher. These are cues that I say to kids. Loose until front foot plate. So many of them are tense. They're so tense here. Well, I want to be as loose as I can, and all the action happens after my foot lands. So it's here, loose. Okay? Everything's out here. You have to be loose. Keep back foot on the ground to release. When you can release and your foot's still touching the ground, that's proper mechanics. They sound simple, but if you get them pitchers to do them all, it's not that easy. Arm health, throw more often. Not pitch more often, throw more often. I think the latest thing I heard from a study from Yale or Harvard, 320 days a year is the best way to keep your arm healthy. Throwing 320 days a year. Now, of course, most of you can't do that, but the point is, the more you throw, the better. Bands, you know, many kids do these every day at home. We have a routine to show you. Finding mobility issues. I have a current high school kid who, when he hits, he comes down here and can't hardly swings like that. When he pitches, his whole body, when we check his mobility, and he has no shoulder mobility at all. So he's you get mad at him, but he's unable. He's unable to do those things. And then for 10 years, I've followed the Major League pitch count. I've never deviated from it once, and just arm health is important to me. Here's for 9, 10, 11, 12, 0 days rest, 1 day rest, 2, 3, 4 days rest. If you follow that, you'll never go wrong. Okay, here's foot plant, 90 degrees. Here's Velcro on the back foot. Okay. Here's level eyes. Here's crooked eyes. Almost exact same arm action. But this is 50% strikes, this is 70% strikes, this is healthy arm, this is unhealthy arm. Here, up on his toe, no Velcro. Here, no deceleration, losing it all to the catcher. This is his foot. Most of them that do this keep walking towards the catcher. Here's proper. Velcro, front foot plant, 90 degrees. Here's another. Velcro, foot plant, 90 degrees. These are 3 or 4 things that you video your kids. These are the things you look at. Here's a high level picture we have. Okay. Foot plant, look at that. His whole shoe's about to rip. He's so planted. Here's front foot plant. He's at 90 degrees at a different angle. Okay, he throws about 91 miles an hour and it moves 2 feet from the pitcher to catcher. And then here's the deceleration. Heels down, he throws around it. This leg, when he pitches, spins around. Okay, but he decelerates a lot. There's another high school kid. Awesome foot plant. Velcro, foot plant's a little bit less than 90, and good deceleration. There's another one. Same thing, same 3 components. Although he leaks a little bit here, he's way better than he was in November. Foot touch to the ground at release. Back foot. You see a lot of kids with their foot up in the air. So there's 3 or 4 things you can focus on with your pitcher that are important mechanically and for arm health and for velocity and strength. Today there's a lot of velocity schools. Everybody's worried about velocity. You want to throw 90, you want to throw hard. Well, this is the simple math. You get stronger is the biggest way to gain velocity. Skills, throwing programs, and things like that, that's another way. And then the cues that we just talked about with the Velcro and the 90 degrees, those are called hacks. Right here, it's strength. And every kid can do push-ups, sit-ups until they're ready to hit the weight room. Here's the Matheny manifesto that we're going to get into. But this section is for parents. As we progress through the baseball world here, parents are becoming more and more, I don't want to say important. I'll let them know. One of the things we do at the high school, we have like a 10-page book of a parent-player handbook. We cover everything. Everything. And at the end, the parent signs it and the player signs it. All the team rules are in there, all the communication, all the attendance, you might want to consider doing that. It doesn't have to be detailed, just have to have the key things. Communicate. I think some of the things I've heard where there's no communication or little, there's so many troubles on a team. You really want to communicate a lot. And then ask your parents to be involved with practices or keep the score or whatever. If you have to be involved, sometimes that alleviates some trouble. And then the Matheny manifesto, I keep coming back to that. Some of the things inside of that are the boys want the parents to say nothing. Or the girls, they want nothing. They want the parents to sit there and watch. Again, the child improvement is mostly the parents' responsibility, not the Little League coach who sees them once or twice a week. He said, my dad said the coach was always right even when he was wrong. I love that motto, because it's a good way to be. Even though you know he's wrong, treat him like he's right. And his quote was that their attitude, their concentration, and their effort are the things that they can control. If they give me these things every time they show up, they will have a great baseball experience. Again, I recommend reading that. I mentioned at the end of the practice we do competitions. Here's some of them. We have 100 of them. Bat Speed Grand Prix requires a glass motion thing that goes on the knob of the bat. It measures everything about your swing. It's an awesome piece of awesome tool. How much does this cost?
$150.
$150 for the whole team. You can use it, you know. But that's where the kids swing the bat, how fast they can swing. They love to compete against their teammates and then against themselves, trying to beat their best. Mash and dash, we discussed. No, I think we didn't do it. Oh yeah. Mini cricket is a coach throws the kids can go anywhere they want defensively. The hitting team, they hit a tennis ball and they go from home plate to second base to home plate. That's the point. They get back to. It's just a fun, different way to do that. Cut-off relay. I'll show you the slide on that. Fill the bucket's a good one. Have a bucket of balls, hit a rounded infield, and when it's fielded and thrown to first base successfully, they put it in the bucket. Okay. The goal is to have the ones we count are the ones that aren't in the bucket. If there's a bobble or a bad throw, we put it outside the bucket. So the kids love to. If there was 9 this round, they want less than 9 next round. Go hurt the puppies. Teaching kids to hit fly balls. I'll show you. This is a drill. Sometimes hitting fly balls is tough. To be accurate with it. You hit a tennis ball in the air, you have a lot better control. We call those skyscrapers. Here's the relay drill. Have 2 teams from home plate out to the fence, or however far you want. And the ball starts here, and it goes and goes and goes. If the ball's dropped, they have to pick it up, come back to their spot before they throw. Then it comes back to the beginning. This is the race, and the kids love that. This is 2 lines. You put it half your kids at second base, half your kids at home plate, and they run 4 bases from second base, third, home, first, back to second. They have to pass the ball on to the next guy to run, so the next guy doesn't cheat. And they just have a relay race. They dive across home plate. Again, they have to compete, and they'll love it. This is a test drill I'll demonstrate. Here's Don't Kill the Puppies. This is just a visual. We'll teach the kids to hit the ball here. This is a visual. Mike's going to talk hitting a little bit here, but this is my philosophy. Wait for a strike, and then you hit the crap out of it. So, you ready?
Did everybody get to fill this out? Their email address and everything? So it is our intention we're videoing this right now, okay? Put it on YouTube, have a YouTube link specifically for you guys so that you can rewatch this. Also, we're gonna send you this presentation and we're gonna send you some notes on some of the drills as well, okay? Because I know it's a lot to process, 50 different drills that we're going over today. So, guys, thanks for coming. Obviously, you know that we're super passionate about helping youth baseball players and softball players not only get better at the game, but fall in love with the game, right? And when Coach was talking about catch play earlier, one of the things about catch play is 90% of the kids that quit playing baseball or softball is because they don't catch the ball, right? They're afraid of the ball because they can't catch it. So they end up quitting the game and going to play something that's a little bit easier like lacrosse or soccer or something else like that, right? So if we can teach them the basics, and that's what we're looking at, we can probably help kids stay in the game a little bit longer, and that's kind of the big goal, right? So hitting, if Bill does all the pitching stuff, and interjects a little bit of hitting, I do all the hitting stuff and interject a little bit on pitching. So I'm passionate about hitting, and I think I have some good stuff to show you guys. And then, is Tyson coming? I think he's already. Is he? Okay, perfect. So when Tyson comes up, we'll be able to demonstrate some of the hitting drills as well. So I just want to go over some basics, some hitting is something that, as a hitter, as a coach, you can't teach overnight. You can't teach in a season. It's a lifetime of learning how to hit the baseball. We have kids that start at 8U and they don't know how to hit, and by 10 they don't know how to hit, and by 12 all of a sudden something clicks and they're mashing, right? And then they're spending the next 10 years of their life playing, going over those same things, right? So number one, the very basic is we're going to start on it. We need to have a proper grip on the softball or baseball bat, okay? So many kids are split grip, especially the younger ones, right? And then the other thing is they over-rotate their hands. And an easy way for you guys to correct that is to have them put their pointer fingers out, okay? If it's going like this or like this, they're in a bad hitting position with their hands, okay? So we want to try to get their fingers to line out like this, or maybe the tips can touch or cross a little bit, that's fine. But an X or completely crossed like that, not, look at my arms, I'm locked out. I go to try to hit, I can't even hit. And that when he talked about mobility, if we limit every single hitter before they even start, then they're not gonna ever be successful. But this side here, now the bat's looser in their hands and they can get to that proper hitting position and drive through the ball. So always look at that little tip there for the grip. Next thing, the stance. Athletic, we want our hitters to be athletic. A great sample of that will be this guy right here. Everybody know who that is? Should, right? Everybody should have yelled, Mike Trout. So Mike Trout, that's athletic. Knees are slightly bent, chest is a little bit forward, and he doesn't look goofy, right? So many times, if a kid looks goofy in his batting stance, we need to fix that, right? Somebody will say, no, he's too upright. He's not too upright. His knees are bent slightly, chest slightly forward, and he's in an athletic position, right? He can do anything out of this position. He can run, he can hit, he can punch if he needs to, right? He can tackle somebody, just like the linebackers do, right? Linebackers don't stand like this out there, do they? No. Linebackers don't do this the whole time. No, they're athletic, right? Just like a wrestler, if he's going to take somebody down. Same thing with all sports. If you're playing basketball and you're playing defense, you don't play defense with your knees locked, right? You don't play defense looking like you're ready to go to the restroom, right? So you want to be in an athletic position. So if we can get our hitters into an athletic position early, we're going to have a little bit more success. That doesn't matter, but what I mean by that is I don't care where a hitter starts with his bat. That's not the most important thing. So we all saw, I think some of us are old enough to remember Julio Franco, right? Julio was up here, right? Jim Thome was, like this, way out, right? So the bat doesn't matter where you start, but it does matter after the stride and the launch occurs, where the bat is before you go to the launch position. So the launch position here is the knob of that bat, right here, pointed right to the catcher. So the side view would be, no matter where you're at, if you're here, you take your stride and you get your hands here, where that knob is right at the catcher. That way, as you start your swing phase, right, the bat drops into the slot, and we stay what they call on plane and on path for a long time, making it a little bit more successful to hit the ball. Hey, it's no difference between baseball and softball, guys. The softball swing is exactly the same swing as a baseball swing. And if somebody tries to tell you that it's not, I can tell you that they're wrong. If you look at college softball right now, those girls are swinging at an elite level. They're hammering softballs 240, 250 feet almost every single game, and they're not supposed to be doing that. But they're sequenced properly, they're in the right position when they go to hit, okay? So teach softball the same way as you're gonna teach baseball hitters, okay? So we wanna be good grip, wanna be athletic. The next thing is the stride. We want to make sure that when we take our stride, notice something about every single one of these guys here. Their front foot is not closed off at stride. When the foot strikes the ground, their front foot is not closed off. It's slightly open. No matter where you look, it's at least a 45 or a 22 degree angle, right? They're striding and that front foot is open, right? So I'll get geeky a little bit here. your body is made up of an alternating pattern of mobile and stable joints all the way through, okay? So your ankle is a mobile joint. Your knee is a stable joint, right? Your knee is not intended, when you close it off, to move any other way other than forward and back. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of an issue, right? So if we need, just like the pitcher, when the pitcher lands and that pitcher wants to deaccelerate or lock that knee out and post up off of that, so does the hitter. When the hitter takes a stride here and he hits, he's coming up off of that front leg if he's doing it properly, or she. So we want to make sure that that front foot is not closed off, limiting the ability for the hips to rotate, limiting the ability for your lockout or your deacceleration. There's a lot of similarities between hitters and pitchers too. Last thing is the swing. Let's just talk about hands to the ball. Let's not, as youth, I'm pretty certain that most of the people in here are coaching kids from 8-year-olds to 14-year-olds. So there's a 6-year range, right? And with that kind of a range, you have all different kinds of strength and ability, right? So a lot of the hitters will not be able to do some elite movements because they're just not strong enough in their upper body. A lot of your swing strength comes from your back or your scapular muscles in the back. And if you were to take a small kid, 12-year-old kid, and grab his scapula, you can put all 4 of your fingers behind it, right? And you can just say, hey, here's your scap, right? But if you do it to an adult, you can't, because we built that strength up. Well, that's where the swing occurs, is in that strength there, because we want to lock this movement through, right? So if we can just teach hitters hands to the ball, right? Rather than, hey, swing up, swing down, hey, you're not in a good position here or there, they'll start to learn the path through the ball. So hands straight to the ball, boom. And a good drill for that is the Mike Trout drill, where it's going to be tough for you guys. Maybe you should use tennis balls or maybe like some lighter, softer balls, but get the hitter in a position to hit already in his stride, already out, and toss a ball up front and have him hit the ball with the knob of the bat, like 5 times, right? So that'll help them understand that setting of the hands going through. Drills. We'll have Tyson come up here in a minute and show you. It's a very simple drill that we do. It's called a walking load. We have a step in, walk in, the Happy Gilmore. We have the boxer and the rocker. We have the hook 'em. We have high tee stop at contact. We have front toss stop at contact. Tee or front toss around the world. Obviously, you're hitting the ball to all bases. Teaches them a little bit about barrel control. And then the 2T drill for infield practice too. So the 2T drill, I just want to talk about real quick. You put 2 tees up side by side, and you put fielders at shortstop, and you put fielders at second base, and you have 4 or 5 guys hitting, right? And one guy gets up, hits the ball to second base. Next guy gets up, hits the ball to shortstop. So now we're getting hitter work in, and we're getting infield work too. And they're teaching a little bit about barrel control and how to directionally hit a ball too. So it's kind of neat. You have to space it out for the younger guys, maybe a little bit further away. You know, at high school they put all 4. They put third, short, second, and first. And then the guy on one side hits to short and first, and then the guy on the other side hits to third and second. Same thing that Coach talked about with pitching pertains to hitting, and that is the pyramid of results starts with strength. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be an 8-year-old and you can still do, 20, 30 push-ups every hour, or maybe 10 every hour, and get 100 push-ups in a day. If the kid really wants to get better at the game or any game that he's playing, get stronger and find out ways to get stronger. It doesn't start too soon in that area. Your training age is very limited, right? As we get older, we lose our ability to train and build muscle and to add strength and continue to keep that strength. But a young man or a young girl can do that easily, doing push-ups and sit-ups every single day. Banded exercises for the little kids. You got your bands you put over your feet, and you can do some curls and things like that. The throwing, hitting programs, all the things that we do for skill, it's not going to add nearly as much as strength does. So focus on strength here as well. All right, so the middle game, I don't have much time. So I'm just going to kind of blow through the mental game real quick. Obviously, it's become one of the newest focuses in the game of baseball and softball. Why it's so important is it's almost like it's been a secret, right? It's been a secret of how visualization occurs and how mental preparation occurs in the game when you're playing. Well, now it's not a secret anymore, because one of the bad things about our country and our world right now is that we have access to information constantly, right? One of the good things is we have access to information constantly. And everybody's finding out ways to get that competitive edge. And that competitive edge comes from being mentally tough and mentally prepared. It goes for us as adults in our work life. It's same with the kids. If we can start to teach them some things to do now to help them in the game and even in life, boy, we're doing a really good job as coaches, okay? So the problem is our thoughts, right? So the book that, is it Ken Reviza, is that how you say his name? He wrote, it's a tremendous mental training book, but he talks about 3 different styles or 3 different people. You have player A, player B, player C. Player A says, I got up to bat, I hit a rocket ship right to shortstop. Shortstop caught it, and he goes back to the dugout and he's like, let's go, man. I can't wait to get up to bat again, boy, because I'm going to knock the next one out of the ballpark. The pitcher got lucky this time, and I'm seeing the ball so good, I can't wait to get up there again. Player A, right? Player B gets up and goes, boy, Jonesy's got some good stuff today. He's out there on the mound dealing. I hope I can get a pitch that I like. And if I do get that pitch, maybe I'll drive it over the shortstop's head, right? Player B is hoping. Player C is, man, I haven't had a freaking hit in 2 weeks. Coach has taken me out of the game 3 flipping times because I don't hit in key situations. All right, see what happens, right? Player C. We want all our players to be player A, right? Our thoughts are the problem. Just like when we do anything in life, if we're not preparing ourselves for the proper thought process when we go to hit or when we go to throw, we're dead in the water, right? So we want to teach our kids and encourage our kids to have positive thoughts when they're getting ready to go hit. Visualization, that basically, it's hard to explain other than close your eyes and picture yourself hitting the ball as hard as you can over the fence. Close your eyes and picture yourself throwing strikes. Close your eyes and picture yourself fielding that ground ball and throwing it across the diamond perfectly. Picture yourself running in on that slow roller at third, picking it up, one-handing it over to first base, right? If we can't always do those things in the game, but we can certainly prepare ourselves by visualizing.
I tell a story about
Please.
So in January, I went to a coach's clinic, and there was a pitching coach at the college who he was 29. He just got out of he was in AAA. He had just got out and was named the pitching coach in Northern Kentucky, I think. And he said the reason he's out of the game, or part of the reason, was he was a little 5'10", not a power throwing lefty. Okay, that's in today's world, those are rare breeds anymore. But his weakness was he couldn't throw inside to a right-handed hitter. Okay, he literally tried hard. He was ahead in the count 0-2, 1-2, and he would throw it inside, but he'd leave it out over the plate. And in AAA, they never missed it. Okay, double home run. So he met a guy, and he said, well, just tonight when you go to bed, close your eyes and play 3 innings in your head. And he said, I mean, walking in, put your uniform on, walking into the park, hear the crowd, hear your coach's voice, run out to the mound, watch all this, throw to hitters till you get 3 outs. And every other hitter, bust a right-hander inside with the best fastball in the inside corner you've ever thrown. And he said, and I did that, and every time I did, in my mind, when I did it, of course, I wanted to hit her to, hit it off the handle, and he said the next day, he did it without any more trouble forever after that either. So one night of visualizing it, that's how strong the 6 inches is. His issues were gone. So you can teach your 8-year-old, and 10-year-old, and 12-year-old to, when they go to bed at night, or when they're on deck, on deck, close their eyes and just see themselves hitting the ball hard. These things work. Now again, this is newish. I didn't do it as a player, but all these, Mike Trout and these guys, all the college guys, they're doing it. You ever see a guy step at home plate, stare at his bat, take a deep breath? He's clearing his mind for the next pitch. And this is happening on every pitch on games you watch on TV.
So where do we start? I would consider this probably, if anything, one of the most important things you guys would be able to do for your players as you guys coach. Start asking them questions. And when I say asking questions, how you feeling? How was school today? How'd everything go at home? Right? You don't need them to tell you all the bad stuff. You just need to understand how they're feeling, right? Because if we understand how player A is feeling, right? Player A, man, I had an awesome day. Coach, I got 3 A's. You know, I won dodgeball in phys ed today. I'm feeling good, coach, right? Like, you can probably count on that kid today. He's going to do some good things, and if you're going to teach him and train him something new, this is probably the time to do it, right? Billy comes in, and Billy's in. What's the matter, Billy? It's just not the best day, coach. You don't need to go into details. You don't need to know what his day was about, but you do know that you're not going to put Billy in a situation that's going to cause him more stress. I know it's weird, right? We're always the guys like, especially me, dust yourself off and get up and go play the dang game, right? That's how I've always been. That's how I teach my son now, right? But there's also times I got to figure out how my son's feeling, right? And what he's thinking and how school was so that we can go on to the next. And we need to understand that the game is about feel. When I say it's about feel, hitters, the best hitters, have feels, they call it. The greatest debate is, throw your hands to the ball. Are you uppercutting the swing? Right? You ask 5 hitters what their process is, all of them will tell you completely different. I was listening to a podcast this morning where Brandon Kadire and Sean Casey were talking about their mental process before they go and hit. Both of them completely different. Sean Casey's like, I'm looking for that fastball. I'm hunting that fastball all the time. Kadire's like, no, not me. I'm looking off speed. I'm looking at a changeup, curveball, or a slider, knowing that those are all 87 to 88 mile an hour, and I can adjust and hit a 96 mile an hour fastball if I need to, right? Completely different feel, right? So we have to understand that hitting's about feel. It's not always about the mechanics. Teach them to compete, and that starts at practice. That's why we're so adamant about competing at practice. We want to teach these guys how to compete. Competition is good, because if we can find out who our top 3 or 4 players are, and if those guys are competitive, we want to match them up with the guys who are less competitive. Why? Does anybody know why? You're darn right. You're darn right. And that person who's competitive hates to lose, so that person is going to do everything that they can to bring that person up to his level. That's simple stuff, right? So identify your players and match them up in that situation to raise them. Don't put those guys who are you have 12 guys on the team, you have 4 that are at the top and 4 at the bottom and 4 in the middle. Don't put those 8 at the top together all the time. Put the 4 at the top, put the 4 at the bottom. Players are looking for coaches that they can trust, right? They want to trust you. They don't care how much you know about the game. Just like Matheny was talking about with his coach, the mailman. The guy didn't know the game, but he trusted that guy because he cared for him, right? Listened to him, and taught him how to compete. Those are the main focuses. And be present. So the thing is obviously I'm a guy who's passionate about what we do, right? And being present, I need to be with the kids. I need to listen to what the kids are saying. I also need to teach them a few things. Teach them how to meditate or pray, right? How to clear their mind when they get into the box, right? When does that process start, right? We're always looking at ways to be present with our players to help them get a little bit better. All right, so there's a reason that I only got the last few slides, because I'm long-winded, as you can see. So actually, you want to have Tyson? This is Tyson Mattel. Come on up here, Tyson. Don't walk around so you don't trip over the corners. He's super nervous right now. Look at him. He's also not as good looking as Coach Mike, but we'll get away with it, right, Ty? All right. So I want him to demonstrate some of the hitting drills that I talked to you, and then you want to have him demonstrate the other drills, or do you want to finish the rest of this?
Let's just finish this in 2 minutes.
All right, let's finish it.
So, podcasts. I recommend podcasts strongly. These are some of my favorites. They're all youth baseball. Again, this will be in your presentation, but I listen to these, every new episode comes out once a week or twice a week on youth baseball. Next week. This is a really, really, really good one that you can share with your parents, but you as dads can also listen to it. It's how to be a dad for a youth baseball player. It's powerful, okay? Only one team a year gets the dog pile, okay? So that leaves 1,500,000 that don't. So we have to teach them how to fail, teach them how to act when they fail, and let them know that it's okay, and that we worked hard, and we got better, and that there's always next year. Anything else?
Yeah, so we appreciate you guys coming, but this is awesome. I gotta show you guys this. Some of you guys have already seen it. We're trying to advance our game too, right? We're trying to make our facility better and all this other stuff. So we had a professional come in and do some videography for us, and then I want to show you that video real quick, and then after that, I got a couple slides of some things that we're going to be offering here for you guys as well, for your players, and then we'll go into our demonstration stuff. So. Thank you. Pretty cool, huh? I like that. So we're going to show you what Pelletero is here in a minute when we go downstairs in the basement. It's something that's embedded in with hit tracks. We're offering $99 hitting assessments to your player. It includes a full 4-week hitting program specifically designed to your player. This is baseball or softball we can do this with. Complete breakdown of the player's weaknesses. And then we're gonna throw in a special discount for a membership at Hit 24, which is our 24-hour hitting facility that we have on State Street here in Wadsworth. So, Coach Bill's gonna do a 4-week pitcher camp. Really focuses on the mechanics. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we just finished one of our camps. It was a 5-week. We work on the mechanics. We use a couple of systems, Driveline system and Florida baseball range system. We video. It's an hour, an hour for 4 weeks, and I send you home with homework. You can register on the link.
Yeah, we'll send all that stuff to you guys too. And then Sunday softball swings. Guys, I've been really trying to get some more girls in here. We had an amazing group of girls that worked through us through the month of February and March. We had some older girls and some younger girls, but I think we can make a big difference with softball in this area as well as we have with baseball. So we're going to do that as well. And then Coach Bill, you want to finish it?
So, I want you guys to go home with the Matheny Manifesto. Just Google it. It's a 6-page thing. I want you to read it. Hit Warehouse BP, which we didn't discuss. We will. And never be a kid's last coach. Don't be the reason a kid gives the game up. Okay? It's happening at the youth baseball level a lot. Okay? There's some nightmare stories about, well, you've heard them all. But try not to be the kid's last coach in the game. So, Tyson ready?
Tyson's ready. All right. So
Tyson's 10. He's been with us a year or 2 years. His dad is here with him 6 days a week. But
is This is his 4th year.
4th year? So you were here 6? Sweet. I think they're here 6 days a week. Every time I'm leaving, they're up here doing ground balls or downstairs hitting. His dad played professionally and knows how to teach it, and one of our best coaches for the 10U could show you 4 or 5 tee drills that we do. Do not miss, Tyson.
So a couple things that we want to really focus on when we're teaching youth is, first off, we want to teach them how to set the tee up, right? So many times when we get to home plate, coach takes the tee, sets it right there on the middle of the plate, hitter gets up there, the ball's thrown on there any old way, right? And the kid goes and tries to hit the ball and it goes spraying up, right? So just like in a game, we want to make contact out in front of the plate, so we want to make sure that we set the tee up in front of the plate. So we're going to make sure the tee's out in front of the plate a little bit. Next thing is how we put the ball on the tee is important, right? We don't just throw the ball on there. We want to put it on with these 2 seams to the back of the plate. Why, Tyson?
Because you want to try to hit that side so you don't hold them.
Right. So you want to hit the outside seam. You don't want to hit the inside seam unless you're hitting the opposite field. But like he said, you don't want to roll over on it. So set the ball on there with those 2 seams and give the hitter something to hit and tell them why. Next thing is every tee should be set up normal or high tee, depending on what you guys are working on. And every hitter is different. So how you set up a tee for normal is you take your hand right next to your side, push the tee down until you're locked out. That's normal height for the hitter. High tee is take yourself here, put your elbow down. That's high tee. Okay? So everybody's different. So Tyson, come up here and set your tee height. Push it down all the way. Push it down all the way. Perfect. Okay. First drill is we call it a step in or a walk in, and some people call it Happy Gilmore. The focus is our hands and our hips. So he's gonna stand at a 45-degree angle to the tee. Hands directly in front of his face. He's gonna go right foot, left foot, and hit the ball. It might bounce back, guys. Perfect. Show him one more time. Right, left, hit the ball. Notice his hands moving back and his hips turning out. Perfect. The next one is a boxer. As simple as it gets. We call it the boxer or the rocker. He's going to jump on his front foot, jump on his back foot. When he goes to the back foot, he's loading those hands. So front foot, back foot, loaded hands, drive the ball. Next one is a hook 'em. Now, if you notice, so far everything's about loading the hands and moving the hands, right? Hook 'em is going to be the same thing. Left foot over right foot, bat directly in front of his face. He's going to slide that foot out, and as he slides that foot, he's going to load his hands. Boom, right into a good launch position. Notice how he gets his hands to that launch position correctly every single time. Okay, now around the world, when we're doing around the world, he's going to hit we're not going to do it here, but he's going to hit the third, short, right up the middle, second baseman, and first baseman. Teaches great barrel control for him. So, before we go into the other stuff, the Hit Warehouse BP, we'll talk about that real quick. Coach was talking about it's focused on base running, defense, and lastly, hitting. So if you're really young, like 8U, 9U, maybe 10U, maybe front flips are the way to do that, okay, instead of throwing overhand. That way the hitter is putting the ball in play. But what you're going to do is you're going to split your team up into 3 teams. You're going to have a hitting and base running team. You're going to have an outfield defensive team and an infield defensive team, okay? So you're going to have 3 teams. The first team that's hitting, you're going to put It works best if you have at least 12 kids, okay? That way you can have four and four. But you can put 2 runners at first base, and then you have 2 hitters. How it works is every pitch is called out. First pitch is dead, which means the kids hit it and nobody fields it. They just don't want to get hit in the face, right? So you gotta move out of the way, or if it's right to you, stop it. Next pitch is live. You throw the ball, the kid hits the ball, base runners are running live. The hitter is not running live until the second line.
Defensive line.
Defensive line,
Play it like it's a game. All but the hitter doesn't run.
correct. Dead, then live again. All the hitters do that 4 times. So dead, live, all the runners go to second base.
Nope. On the last live, the hitter runs.
Oh, yeah.
So the second live, the hitter doesn't run. On the fourth one, his last swing in that rotation, he runs like it's a game. So 2 of the pitches are defensive base running live. The last one, the hitter's live. And you can do this with 2 teams. If you have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old team, they can use the same field and get to work in.
Yep. And then you do it at second base, and you do it at third base, and just repeat it over and over.
Coach the base runners. Don't coach the hitters.
Right.
Go out into the field and help the base runners tag up or go back or make sure the ground ball, if they're going from second to third, the ground ball's in front of them, they don't go to third. If they can beat the ground ball so that the ground ball to the shortstop's behind them, they're allowed to go. On third base, teach them to tag up. And the defense, obviously coach them up as they make mistakes, mental mistakes. In an hour of this type of VP, it's better than 20 practices, if you do it right. I mean, even for Clemson University, our King's Travel Organization, the Outlaws, or the AU organization, okay? It's the same. It's base running and defense, which is the hardest to coach and least amount of time spent. The hitting thing, everybody worries about hitting when batting practice. Well, this also includes hitting. Is that it?
That's our warehouse BP.
Okay.
Now it's up to you to show them all the differences.
Hey, this is nice. Your ball. Let me see that. This is a flat mitt. This is $25. Can't squeeze it shut, so it forces kids to, field the ball, the ground balls, and so they make them expensive too. But these work. We've had these for a couple of years, and they're used by kids every day for lots of kids. So I'm going to show you some of the ground ball drills we do. Okay, we work constantly on right-left. When we feel the ground ball, we're right-left. Okay, and we're square. So Tyson, I'm just going to roll it to you. You do it right-left. Good. Back. Get back in the line. Right-left. Okay. You can do this on a field. PVC pipe is cheap. Work on right-left as much as you can. So do it one more time. Good. Okay. Notice it's between his feet. So many kids want to field outside. I think I got horse all the way along, between your feet. If you can teach them to think between their feet, they improve at a greater rate. A little more. Beautiful. Okay? So, here's another one you do for right, left. Love that. Put your hands underneath that. Close to the line. Okay? First base is over there. Your shortstop. Go. Right, left. Good. So he literally fielded the ball. Right, left. The throw, too. Okay? Do it again. Okay? See if we can gain more ground. So, Tyson, what I mean by that is, the closer we can get to first base, the better. So if I feel it here, when I get out to here, let's throw shorter. Okay? See how much ground we can gain. Tyson. Get out there. Look at that. Look at that. That's good. No, that's good. Another good one. Get in front of the PVC pipe. Put your glove on. Left toe is in the air. When the ball hits your glove, your left toe goes down. Okay, now go to first power position, first base. Left toe in the air. timing thing. Okay, left toe in the air, get higher. Okay, when the toe goes down, and hit your glove. Okay, that's another drill we do all the time. Put your glove down. This is our bucket of balls that are all different. Okay, this is the hands drill we call it. He's got a circumference of what he can catch a ball, and just your glove here. Ready? Okay. Moves down. Good. So we just work on all the way around. Back in. Okay. These balls are light, heavy. You know, here's a heavy one. Good. Here's a light one. Good. So this is called the hands drill. You can do it with just a baseball if you want. These guys, these are powerful. These are drive lines, hitting plyos. Bucket of these or a dozen of these. Pre-game. Keep it back. You can hit these as hard as you want. They don't go anywhere. So you can have your team do pre-game. Yeah, right there. They don't go anywhere, okay? If you hit them poorly, they just wobble. They don't go anywhere at all. He hit that really, really well. Good. So, I don't know, those are not expensive. They're on driveline site. But out in the right field or left field, pre-game. They go in the bucket. All kinds of stuff here. Tyson, let's do some pictures here. First thing, hockey puck guys, the same weight and circumference as a baseball, oddly enough. 5 ounces, same circumference and everything. Tyson and I have been working on staying behind the ball. Okay? If you spin it right, it's a perfect spin. Okay? Change up. Okay? Got a little spaceship spin. Good. Okay, curveball. Same exact thing. That's better than a high school kid. Okay? So you can do it in this setting with your kids. Perfect. Fastball. Coach got to do it. Change up. It should be this like a little awesome spaceship. You haven't done that yet, have you? No. That's all right. So this is called clean fuego. It's the same concept, but it's got seams. This is $80. This is $1.50. Show them the speed up front. You can go through your whole wind up and stuff. Just from the stretch. Okay, that's a little too soon. I want to hear all the whoosh out here. Nice and loose. Nice and loose. There, did you guys hear the difference in the two? Big difference. Okay? Good difference. Good. That's your best one. Okay, that's good. This is cheap. This is Dick's or Walmart. These are heavy hitting plyos. They don't go hardly anywhere. Towels, guys. Use these instead of throwing baseballs for pitchers. It's safer on their arms, and they can get more work in between times they pitch. You grab it like a baseball, or you can just use a regular towel or a rag. Grab that. Okay. So one of the favorite drills I do is a rocker. Have I done that for you, rocker? Okay. The same as hitting. When we get our totally spread out where we are, we rock forward. Rock forward. The whole key to rocking forward is to emphasize our rock back, so all our weight is back on our backside, and we throw. So I video it, rock forward, rock back. What I'm looking for is, do they decel? What's their arm angle? Okay, when they're ready to throw, I video all this stuff. So this is a safe way to get dozens and dozens of reps in without throwing the baseball into the arm.
You can ball up a towel, right? And rubber band around it, whatever you need to do. Especially for the softball players, right? They need to do that just so that they get in a good throwing form.
These your Jagger bands, get these online with $30. You can put a hook in your wall at home. Put these around your wrists. Their workout for youth or adults is right online. And we have kids that do these every single day at home. It's really good for arm health and arm strength. This is one if we do this downstairs on a concrete wall, but you get in our pitcher stance. Actually, back up a little bit. I'm going to throw it easy to you. But what we do is we get here, we rock back with our head, and we throw, focusing on this deceleration leg. Okay? You spread out once, like you just threw a ball. You spread out more than that. There you go. Rock back. Wait, no, right behind your head. And rock back and throw. Good. Okay, good. Then we do 10 of those, and then we follow through same drill, but then we bring our foot up. Okay, just like this. But we throw it as hard as we can against the concrete wall. So that does a lot of the pitching thing. Try to go through these quickly, guys. First try is your drill. Again, we need a brick wall, but I'll try to use this. We get a little bit away from the wall here. We lift our leg, and we go right here. Okay? Goes back to that coil and a back cheek to the catcher. Okay? And the kids can do this at home. This is a great position for a pitcher. Notice my drift. Notice my coil. Notice my back pocket. Everything's in good space. You do dozens of those in a row. So just get regular glove. Okay. Another drill that we do up here is we have them in the middle. We have them thrown both ways. So if you're gonna throw this way, I have this foot forward. This foot's ready to throw. There you go. He's gonna throw that way. I have him this foot forward. Now he's ready to turn and throw. So throw that way. So that foot forward as you catch it. All right, ready? Yep. Now that way. That foot forward. Yep. So we do this with a pitching machine, throwing the ball pretty hard, even for the 10-year-olds. So they have to, okay, or they have to focus and think about their future. Okay, some of the good, keep your butt on. Put the ball in the glove. In here. Just do a little bit of ground ball. I call these balling glove drills up front. You don't have to hit balls to him all the time, okay? Because sometimes it's hard to be accurate and get anything out of it. Ball's already in his glove. He's already in a fielding position like he just fielded it. Now he can throw to first base, or he can throw double plays, or he can get the cutoff. Ball's in the glove already. You just got to go. Okay? So it's balling glove drills. Coach, what else? Get the pitch flat mitt. We'll do fast hands, fast feet. So we get. This is working on hands and feet. We just go as fast as we can. When the ball's on the way, I want to start setting my feet, throw it back to it.
Notice the hands don't fall below, right? I'll teach them keep their hands up the whole time. Don't let the hands come below. When I say below, I mean below the waist. That takes up too much time.
So we can do this for a long time. It's excellent for hands and feet. Tennis racket, fly balls, guys. These are great to use for outside. You can hit with a machine. We do a couple of outfield drills. I'll share with you. Baker Mayfield drill, which now she call it the Sean Watson drill. And the star drill. The star drill is you want the ball to land in the same spot every time. So when we have the machine at practice, that's easy. Just shoot out of the machine. When we have our kids, left center, right behind it, here, and short. So they have to catch the fly balls going every direction. The machine takes care of all the accuracy. You can do it also pretty well with a tennis racket and tennis ball. I'll show Baker Mayfield. Inside, right, throw it, and go over your shoulder. Have you done that here? Okay, outside, this is a great drill. We call it the quarterback drill or Baker Mayfield. So a coach with the ball, I like to have him out halfway down the right field line, put the kids out 40 or 50 yards to the right, have them sprint in front of you until he's about that far in front of you, and throw him a ball on the run. So he's running, he has to catch it on the run. He drops it, so if he's running here and catches it, he drops it, he goes back this way, you throw it over his shoulder and catches it. He drops that one, and he takes off this way, and you throw it over his shoulder. So he gets a line drive on the run, one over his right shoulder, one over his left shoulder. Kids love that too. But inside, will hurt somebody. So we start here, throw a ball up in the air, they sprint and catch it out here, and they sprint, and I just throw the ball backhanded over their shoulder so they catch it. You can do that outside as well.
So, when you say catch it with the right shoulder, after he catches that line drive, he continues to run?
Nope.
And then you throw over the left?
Nope.
And then you throw over the right?
So I'll imitate it here. If I'm running here, I catch it, I drop it, I turn this way, over this shoulder, I stop, drop it, go this way.
All right.
So it's kind of in a space, big wide. This is a great book. These baseball practice games. It's from Driveline. I get $25 or $30. It's got games and drills galore. Driveline's the #1 training company in the world. Trying to get you guys stuff and ideas. Is that everything, Coach?
Pretty good stuff.
Last thing I want to give you before we go downstairs is every year I develop a player development goal sheet for my team. Okay, it's kind of in depth in high school. It's got a hitting, for example, but I want you to make your own. For mine,